Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. So last time we did Black Rose, which is what this pirate icon is. A pirate themed table that maybe had only 2 or 3 gimmicks when it needed 4 or 5, but not a terrible table. Today we're doing Creature from the
My
Black Lagoon
hero.
from 1992, a Bailey table. We're seeing a lot of Williams, a lot of Bailey, a lot of Gottlieb, um, which clearly there was either a merger or there was just a lot of different subsidiaries with different company names, making it seem like there was more competition than there really was. Midway seemingly owns Williams and Gottlieb and Bailey. Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1992, was designed by the legendary John Trudeau. We're starting to see the same names over and over again, and it's kind of starting to suck. And by this point, it feels like there could have easily been more people, like 4 or 5 times as many people, maybe some women, maybe some more ethnic sounding names. Uh, Dr. Flash, as he's known, was involved in designing over 50 games for Gottlieb, Williams, and Bailey. Because basically, to continue that thought, what we're running into is a problem here with tables are being created by like 4 to 10 artists. Imagine if all the art in the world was just painted by Michelangelo, or and there were no other artists ever to exist, or everything was always painted by like Picasso, and nobody ever create anything else of note. Um, that would really suck. And arguably, with art in particular, you don't know the good artists until they've already passed on, and you have to look from a historical perspective on them. So we don't know if there really is going to be a decent painter in 2021 time that comes out for 10 years, 20 years, 100 years. Like, we know we have like Picasso and we have Salvador Dali, but that's kind of the most recognizable recent artist that we've had. Banksy arguably is like the only artist that's alive now and still creating. Um, let's see. Well, he designed over 50 games for Gottlieb, Williams, and Bailey. Creature combines the excitement of watching the famous Universal monster flicks with the fun of a drive-in movie date. The player has to save their date from the creature and is rewarded by seeing the world's first ever pinball hologram, which that sounds cool, but that is definitely not a technology that got adopted permanently. If it had worked really well and it was easily adaptable, I imagine holograms would have existed for all games going forward, video games, pinball, computers in general. There definitely were hologram like tricks. What often they were, I think it's called Pepper's Ghosts. Um, Magic tricks where you just have a 45-degree angle piece of glass, you have something lit dark on one side and bright on the other side, and it makes it look like it's floating in the air. Uh, but yeah, those are hard technologies to get to work well, and they don't even look that good, even by modern standards. This classic table also features story and dialogue from the movie. 7,841 tables were produced. What I find interesting here is apparently they are referencing Creature from the Black Lagoon movie in 1992, but Creature from the Black Lagoon almost certainly was a movie that came out. Wow, that is just really blown out. All this art looks really, really, really poor. Yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon would have had to have come out way, way earlier in the 50s or 40s, if not the 20s. It clearly there's either the hologram must appear here because they didn't mention any under playfield section. This is a little bit too busy to have at the lower playfield, but it might not be too distracting. We've seen several tables with fairly large distractions. Here we have a curvaceous blonde lady. I haven't seen the movie Creature from the Black Lagoon, so then you have another blonde lady with 3D glasses in 3D. I wonder if you really were supposed to wear 3D glasses. It would explain a lot of the color aspects here. Well, that's not going to work on a computer. There's quite a lot of plastic ramps that I can see here. It's an interesting twist to go with a movie night, Fright Night type experience instead of just focusing on the movie itself. I think that works fairly well. I guess if you were going to make a Rocky Horror Picture Show themed table, which they almost certainly would never get away with doing that, although nowadays you might get away with doing that, you probably would want to have it be the experience of watching the movie in the theater more than just the experiences in the theater alone, or watching the play in the theater if you're watching a play version, or the original play version. We've got 3 bumpers here. I don't know what this film is, whether that's I guess that's a sink down target. The angle here feels really weird. There's a lot going on with the colors and the art here. There's a lot of ramps that seem to spin around in a lot of different ways. Like, where does this even start? Yeah, this one in particular just swims all the way around. I guess that's maybe the idea. I have wondered if this metal piece is going to flap down sometimes and act as a gate to send the ball this way. Well, this is just a lot. In a funny way, like Universal Studios has tried to do things with the Universal Monsters series of movies over and over again and failed miserably every time. But having somebody make a pinball table based on the Creature from the Black Lagoon makes more sense than having Tom Cruise make a Mummy movie reboot that was supposed to be a reboot for a series, and then have Tom Cruise be so overly focused in the movie that the new female mummy, who pretty much wasn't a mummy even, doesn't even register on people's attention. Yeah, I don't know if this really is a hologram or if it's just a toy under the playfield. Let's see what our standard goals are going to be. Activate, move your car, score double features, score snack attack, score a playground award. Very common for playgrounds to exist in drive-in theaters. They kind of lost that in regular theaters, which it's kind of a mistake. If movie theaters are going to survive in 2021 to go further, they probably should build playgrounds, introduce that concept again, not just arcades that are designed to steal money of pocket change of kids, but just somewhere where kids can burn some energy. Of course, they don't want to be liable for falls and scrapes in the playground, and you're less likely to have a fall and scrape in an arcade.
How about a kiss? I don't know.
Yeah, I can see movie theaters introducing like full-on McDonald's style restaurants instead of just concession stands, and having playgrounds like that. This definitely feels like 60s bebop music. Although beatniks are, yeah, I guess they are also 60s. This definitely feels like a table that is built around the nostalgia of the creator. That was the double feature. Also kind of feels like a table that could have had an upper left flipper, I mean an upper right flipper, but it doesn't, and I kind of appreciate that. But this is one of those tables where you're gonna get your shots good, and you're gonna have a fairly slow experience because the ball's not gonna move fast. You're only gonna have 5 or 6 angles to hit something, and this table does not feel like some of the other tables that are really, really long and angled in a difficult way. It doesn't feel like there's a score multiplier on this table. Also, this doesn't feel like a table that's going to use the video LCD screen very well, which would have still been a new technology at the time.
Stay cool, Daddy-O. Shoot the left ramp.
Shoot the left ramp. Trying to get a kiss, which is fairly wholesome.
Thank you. Enjoy the film.
That in a lot of ways was all theaters were the wink wink nudge nudge socially acceptable place to take a date, to make out in the dark and not be seen.
Let's try the next tunnel.
Or not be judged. There we go. So we got a 2-ball multi-ball, and music seems fairly laid back for 2-ball multi-ball. You'd think that there'd be more screaming or sound effects from the creature from the Black Lagoon, or perhaps theater personnel putting some more urgency on it.
Shoot the left ramp.
I like that the table is telling me what it wants me to do, so they're making it easier on me. Yeah, I don't know if this hologram under the table is just the creature spinning around very slowly, or if there's just animations there. It'd be interesting to see how someone could have depicted a hologram and displayed it using like an LCD screen or something. So far this table feels slow, and I kind of hate the visuals on it. But I'll try to give that a fair shot, because and immediately I get a high score.
On with the show. Let me out!
See, it feels like this is the kind of table where you might as well just be holding down and looking at this way. Now, is this particularly a kid-friendly table? Not 100%. I mean, this, if you were old enough to remember drive-through airports in 1992, drive-through theaters in 1992, then you would have not been a kid. And if you remember the creature from the Black Lagoon, then you're really not a kid. So looking at the table from this angle doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you get to like this angle, you have just so much of the table is obstructed with so many ramps. And this had to have been in part because they needed more room for the creature under the table. But I would have done a rethink. I would have put pretty much all of these ramps under the table because you have that beautiful excuse to do that because of the Black Lagoon. You could have had every single ball pop up. You could have had ball launchers directly in the left and right in lanes, popping the balls up.
And now, on with the show.
So if I was gonna remake this table, first step I would take would be to rip out like all the ramps. Definitely this spiral one on the right, that's visually a mess. I would send the artist back to work again and tell him, look, you need a 6-color palette at most, and say, look, by that I mean 6 colors are the only 6 colors you can use to animate all of this. Let's make it more thematically logical as far as what you're shooting for and easier to understand. Like, I feel like looking at the table art, I'm looking at art, not a pinball table.
Thank you. Enjoy the film.
We know that there's top lane overlay, so the score multiplier does exist. It's just now not being depicted on the table. I'm kind of having a hard time getting used to that. We've seen so many tables where every into ball bonus, every score multiplier, every element has been by necessity displayed through a flashing light on the table. Now that we have the LCD screens, they're just hiding more and more to the LCD screens. Yet they've really failed to realize that the way you would have done that, well, I guess that was playground, is to put the LCD screen in front of, down on the lower playfield where the Black Lagoon creature is really.
5 million.
It does make an interesting argument that if you could get some augmented reality glasses while playing pinball, that way there's just a heads-up display always in front of your eyes, you might make it a much better experience. Although, how you're gonna get somebody to wear augmented reality glasses and not end up spreading pink eye while playing a pinball table, I don't know.
How about a kiss?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, this whole table just feels laid back. It's just like, I think I can actually get a lot of these shots. I think I can fairly easily accomplish all the goals. This might be the first table that we actually get all the standard and wizard goals done. It does have the benefit for the fact that it's kind of a slow table, and we've seen almost every other table has been very, very fast. We've seen instances of the ball draining a lot just down the center lane and through random out lane drains. And we'll see less of that. There we go.
Try the next tunnel.
I started a multi-ball. I got an extra ball, which I don't even think was a standard goal. The kiss sound effect is a little weird for this theme. That sound effect breaks in an odd way. Now that music sounds weird too.
Thank you. Enjoy the film.
Yeah, this whole table feels kind of like a mix match of just random elements.
Well, maybe.
You definitely have the 1992 60s era the concept of having to kind of beg even for a kiss, which is, I guess, a slow evolution of the idea of chivalry and knights and having to go on quests to prove their worth to marry maidens.
Here's your hot butter popcorn.
For something about the movie, it's funny that none of the ramps really look like a film strip. I think visually you could have put a sticker on one of the tubes and make it look like you're writing on a film strip. You would want to see a soda and popcorn kind of toy if you could fit it. You'd want to see a candy kind of toy if you could fit it. You are basically trying to serve two masters on this table, one being the specific film Creature from the Black Lagoon, which it almost feels like they didn't even want to address that, and instead they expanded the idea to a theater thought. The back art of this table is lit up, and that actually looks fairly nice. Alright, so how many standard goals do we have left? Sneak attack reward is really quick, some pull and shoot the ramp 4 times to activate the mode. Shoot in the center. Okay. We can figure that out then. Yeah, you have this whole swamp art that looks nice back here. Doesn't kind of really do anything. I suppose it wouldn't have helped if you had instead made a table around the entirety of the Universal monsters, because then it would basically be just Taxi again, where you'd have like one shot focused on Dracula, one focused on the Mummy. It would be very similar to the Class of 1812 without the wrapping. But I would say get rid of the Creature from the Black Lagoon element completely. But I really am hating the audio choices here. Like whoever picked this collection of what feels like copyright-free sound music, did they blow all of their budget potentially on licensing from the movies? And see, this would be Universal as a production company to do the Universal Studios monsters, not Paramount, who did the Addams Family movie, nor do I think it was the company that would have done Terminator 2. So we're still seeing a case where movies all of a sudden are starting to get licensed. I guess not wanting to be left out, they licensed a very old table, a very old movie instead of a new movie. 1992 probably was a heyday for movie anyways, going out to the theaters. I imagine some of the Steven Spielberg films would have come out by that time and had great success, and that may have brought in a lot of new cash flow. I don't know what shot to try and take to get the ball to the left flipper. I don't feel like this this table has a kickback, and it doesn't have a center peg, obviously. Some of this bebop stuff all feels like this should have been a grease table. Which actually, that makes way more sense. So if I was going to do anything with this table, I would immediately reskin it for Grease. The movie Grease. John Travolta, get him to voice it if that's doable. I mean, even the character in the video looks like John Travolta, kinda. Good enough. And I guess if you can't get Grease, then you get
How about a kiss?
you parody Grease and hope you can get around it, a parody law. I'm just trying to hit that ramp. How can I get the ball to the left flipper enough to hit the ramp? The right ramp. And it has enough gates to know if I don't make it all the way through. So I can't just get limp-wristed shots that go about that far. And there's a slightly larger than normal gap in between the two flippers, so trying to flip the ball over to the other side is not going to really work. Not for me, I'm not that good at that. Nor have I, even now, really practiced it enough. Hit that. Hit that. Well, the good news is I started it. The bad news is I think I had to finish it. So after you hit that ramp multiple times, you then have to get a good center lane shot. Arguably, this table's not as bad as a lot of other tables as far as having very long, very difficult center lane shots. But it's not 100% great either. It's interesting that it kept the number of kisses lit up. Yeah, the only way I think I can get the ball to the left flipper is to have the ball accidentally get halfway up a ramp. This doesn't feel like this table has any video modes.
Let me out! It's dark in here!
They're making reference to somebody sneaking into the movie theater, and that's why he's stuck in the trunk. Because they would charge you by person in the car. These are nice wide ramps. So like a weirdly themed table, even if you were to reskin this around the movie Grease, like it would still be a nostalgia table. It feels like this table in particular should be a lot more difficult, not easier than your average table. I'm getting pretty decent scores, kind of doing nothing. It's fairly easy to get a multi-ball, if that's what you want. Which, honestly, that might be your best bet. Or extra ball. A lot of these tables, particularly Williams tables, I think I could fix by just replacing the flippers. Giving them stronger flippers and longer flippers. Like there are some tables that have flippers that if both flippers are up like this, the ball literally cannot drain. They're just that close. I should probably work on my center lane shots while I'm waiting to get the ball to the left flipper. Because that would be the next step anyways. This table kind of highlights though the problem, even if you have a slow game, that just means the ball can drain out very slowly. There must be standing targets here on the table, but I was not able to see half of the elements on the table. Get those center lane shots. I wonder if it would be easier to make shots if the flippers were like stairs, just stair-stepped. Probably, but then the ball wouldn't roll very well as much as it would just bounce. Yeah, you might be able to curve a flipper and put a curve in it, and maybe that would help you a little bit more. But that would also drastically change the feeling of playing pinball. And standard things like flippers being straight are probably things you shouldn't mess with. In the same way I would not suggest making a pinball that was square or triangular or even some kind of cone. It could roll. Although that would be kind of a funny table if you could put a trapped square pinball in a lane and you're just sliding it on the table. Too many things end up in the right lane, in lane, which is better than it ending up in the gutter or the out lanes. But we've seen this with other tables where every shot you make puts you in the same position to try and make the same shot again. There's no figure 8 pattern here.
The left ramp. Shoot the right ramp.
I've been trying to shoot the right lamp for a while now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to rescind my statement as far as this may be the table where I get all the wizard goals done. There's kind of like a middle playfield section to the left of the right ramp that kind of acts as its own little area, and then has some more ramps behind that. That's an interesting concept. I don't know if I like it. It seems like, it kind of feels like that breaks up the table too much. This is a very busy upper playfield, and so having a middle section seems kind of crazy. It feels like there should be 4 quadrants on a pinball table always. You're gonna have an upper left, an upper right, a lower left, and a lower right, and maybe there's some elements that are crossing that, like just a general center lane shot. But generally, I would like to think of it from that perspective. Center lane shot.
Let's try the next tunnel.
I don't think I could have accomplished what I was trying. Yeah, the center lane snack ball shot is too difficult. I would widen that up. I mean, look how many times I've tried to hit it there and failed.
Let me out! Thank you. Enjoy the film.
I can't help but feel like the theme of this table gets forgotten too. Like, as I'm playing, I'm just like, alright, I'm hitting things and I'm getting scores, but the idea that this has a narrative and a story, I'm not seeing that element. So either I'm not pushing the story far enough forward, or the story is fairly lightweight. Theoretically, almost every table has a story. It's not just random going forward for a high score, but most tables leave it at 80% up to the player to write the story in their own head.
How about a kiss?
I don't know.
It would be an interesting thought to think about if this was would have been a better table playing as the creature from the Black Lagoon instead of teenagers watching the creature from the Black Lagoon. There you go. Extremely delayed nudge there. At that level, I was just goofing off, nudging. And it's not like there's any ushers shining flashlights in the drive-thru, so like you don't have a real antagonist in this table. Because the creature can't really be the antagonist if it's just a movie. And they're trying to highlight the movie experience, so they wouldn't want to show like the downer parts of being a movie usher. Cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning up vomit, dealing with unruly patrons. Things like that.
And now, on with
So
the
playing as the usher doesn't Doesn't make sense either. Yeah, it's really weird to say this table has a story when it literally can't go anywhere with its story. See, I've already just completely run out of things to say.
Aw, come on.
Some of these shots
Maybe.
also are way harder to hit than others.
Let me out!
I do feel like I eventually would get all the standard goals at least on this table. It would just be kind of a matter of time and whether I really want to put that much time in a table like this. Tables like this basically should at a certain point just say, give you a new random goal. I'm not sure if any table actually ever does that, but it is definitely a thought, is that everything should be on a timer. The table should just get bored of your attempts, and it should say, hey, start shooting for this instead because you're not getting this shot. A lot of tables effectively do something similar to that by having lots of different modes open normally. Usually, unless you're in multi-ball, there's a bunch of different modes open. So hitting a ramp 5 or 6 times would unlock something. Where this table, I'm hitting things and starting things, but they are fairly unimpressive and fairly similar to the things that would have been enabled otherwise.
5 million. Let me out! Thank you. Enjoy the film.
I feel like the scoring is a little too high on this table. The power creep is just going. It's continuing to be a thing. Yeah, this definitely feels like a table I just can't really play that well. Come on, hit that snack bar. Come on, hit it. Nope. Maybe if I'd just kept the ball in play, I would have gotten that achievement. This is one of those tables where you kind of just have to hit the... You kind of have to just hit the multi-ball a lot because there's nothing else to do. Let's see if we can hit that. I had a multi-ball there. Should have gone for it. Cook County is LA, I believe. That's what it says on the back of the car.
And now, on with the show.
Drive-in theaters had poles with wired speakers on them, So you would drive up to the poles, and then the speaker would clip on your window, and you could hear the audio for the movie. Of course, you could also get some binoculars and probably see the movie from a particularly high hill further away without paying. Eventually they had low range, short range AM radio stations that would just transmit the audio to the radios in cars. But eventually the technology couldn't get improved that well. You're not light controlling the room when you have an outdoor theater for a drive-in theater. You're not controlling the audio as far as soundproofing or anything like that. You're not air conditioning the room. It was a much worse experience. I definitely think I went to one drive-in theater, and it was next to the river, and a bunch of mosquitoes got in the car and irritated, stung and bit everybody. Was that what I needed to do? No, I think I had to hit the ramp a few more times. It used to be quite the audio and visual file, setting up big 7.1 surround sound setups in my houses, whichever house I was in at the time. But I'd say somewhere around 2005, 2006, I stopped having really the free time to really enjoy that. And so now it's become a weird scenario where I do have a lot of that old equipment, but I haven't used it in probably a decade. So who knows if it even works anymore. There is still an argument for very rare niche video to be on Blu-ray or DVD. Things that truly will not be available on sale and will be hard to get. But the vast majority of entertainment either is streamable or easily on-demand streamable, and it's not worth owning. Plus, entertainment has become fairly commoditized in the sense that there's so much of it, it doesn't hold much value. But I definitely still have some I'm trying to shoot the snack bar. I didn't know that was gonna trigger that. This is one of those tables where you might just want to play it and not care about the goals. And certainly that can be the case for a lot of tables, is that if you just don't focus on the goals and just play it, you'll probably have a lot more fun, because you won't actively remind yourself that you're failing miserably as far as the very specific goal that they want you to pull off. And that again is an argument against Pinball Arcade adding wizard scores in the first place. And I think that's why Pinball FX 2 and 3, and I'm sure the remake, are not going to bother to really do anything like that, and instead are just going to give you a general pinball wizard score, which is what they had before. And I do think Pinball FX's scoring system, the wizard score, got hacked or something, and it lost some of its meaning. but it never was supposed to really have much of a meaning anyways.
Thank you. Enjoy the film.
Lock a ball to start the movie. Seriously? So there we saved. We found the creature. Shoots a snack bar again. Get that center lane shot. Or drain out trying. I would try to adopt a mentality of not having the high tension shots be the center lane shot. If anything, you might even try and go. No, it says it's actually Illinois, Cook County. Interesting. I thought California was Cook County. Maybe there's multiple Cook counties. Captain Cook, I assume that's what it's named after. Oh, forget it. Just launch the ball. This is a weird table because it seems like almost everything saves from game to game. Which that's a weird thing because that means theoretically a kid walks to a table and gets a multi-ball very easily, thinks that multi-balls are very easy for the table, plays in the second game and realizes that actually no, they're very hard. Somebody just had set it up for some other player. And while I can understand a progressive jackpot, I definitely don't understand the idea of maintaining any other values and not having a discrete starting point for a table. Well, that was a flip, but did the flip let me lock and cradle the ball? No.
Shoot the left ramp. Shoot the right ramp. The bar is now open for your convenience.
There's a decent amount of rewards, but they kind of all feel like they're the exact same thing. At least in Adam's Family, when you had the thing was a toy on the table. It moved the ball around. It interacted. This is visual only. You could completely reskin this table and have some other hologram of some other thing. Or you could just reskin this table and have it fully focused on Creature from the Black Lagoon and get rid of the movie theater element. I guess we have to once again say we have a female character or two on this table that gets like one line of dialogue between the two females, and that's it. Although arguably the Creature from the Black Lagoon, the titular character, is barely getting any lines of dialogue either. It's all focused on the male protagonist, unnamed male protagonist character. Actually, there's 4 or 5 different male characters that seem to have been voiced for this table, which really just makes that ratio worse. Like, I'm not asking the pinball tables to pass the Bechdel test or anything, but you could at the very least have a character speak and have a personality. This would have been a great table to hire a scream queen and just get her to do several different screams as the monsters. Like, you could have a jump scare, the lights going out, and then the really loud scream when the creature from the Black Lagoon shows up. Although maybe that would have driven arcade owners batty. Yeah, it might not be a good idea to have a table that screams. I'm sure plenty of other tables have already done that. Feels like you could have like a pink Cadillac toy on the table. That would probably catch a lot of people's attention to some kind of car that would have been visually attractive. Even if it was just a model of the car and it really didn't do anything. Like half of the tables we've seen could potentially just have a decorative toy like the Cactus Jack dancers that would just pop up and down and catch people's attention. Although on this table, without ripping out some of the stuff that is already too much, there really is no room to add anything more.
Stay cool, Daddy-O.
Yeah, you have a beatnik character saying "Stay cool, Daddy-O" for no reason. That could have been the lady saying, let's see. Alright, snack bar, snack bar, snack bar. Saline shots. Finally. There's the snack attack. So I finally got that standard goal an hour in, which is still better than some tables by far. So then the real question would be, I probably should just let the balls drain to save time at this point, but the real question would be, what's the next 5 wizard goals going to include? I kind of question what the wizard goals could even really be. There's definitely ramps here that they don't seem to reward you if you hit the same ramp 5 times in a row. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the pun would be. In 2021, you could definitely make more references to movies, so that wouldn't be. But if you're sticking to a 60s reference and what you could have done, and it's maybe a little sexist, but for 60s it wouldn't be too bad, is have the blonde character get a line that says, "Take another shot, Buster. Give it another shot." See, like, encourage the male protagonist. Hmm. That would have worked. 1959 Illinois. It definitely is supposed to be a 60s 59 era theme. It kind of would have been better if the table history went into some of the history of the creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D. 3D element here is weird. Like, just make sure that there are no options here for like 3D. I'd be very surprised if there were. These menus break a lot. Complete move your car, complete creature, score super jackpot, activate super mode. So this would be the hardest one. Shoot the right ramp 12 times to light the super mode at the snack bar for 12 seconds. Shoot the snack bar within 12 seconds to activate it. If you fail to shoot it within 12 seconds, super mode must be relit by hitting it 5 times. Super mode lasts for 25 seconds. Yeah, that seems fairly crazy. Then how do we get to super jackpot? You shoot this snack bar again to rescue the girl, and that lights a snack field jackpot. Shoot that a second time to do that. Once the bumpers are hit 20 times, shoot the snack bar to score a super jackpot during multi-ball, which is worth twice the current value, times the playfield multiplier. Man, that's pretty crazy. Get into the whirlpool. Whirlpool, not a good thing either. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play this maybe one more time, and that's it. I can get extra ball, but every other goal here seems to be fairly crazy and undoable. Just because of the way this table's laid out and the shots. And I think there would be a lot of grinding and a lot of irritating gameplay that would have to happen before I could actually get all the wizard goals. If I was going to try for that. Alright. Then we got bookkeeping, printouts, test, utilities, and adjustments again. And feature adjustments, I guess, would be the only one I really care about. Special, multi-ball, extra ball, attract sounds, off. Interesting that by default the attract sounds are off. You'd want, I think, everything on. Interesting that reset kiss is off. Family mode. Family mode factory setting would be no. Interesting. Why was that different? Why would it be in family mode by default? That makes no sense. Like, what's the dirty thing here on this table? In 1992, what would be not family friendly other than the kiss?
Stay cool, Daddy-O.
Was this a table that maybe was a little too spooky, and that's why the Pinball Arcade would have it in family mode by default. If that's not just a glitch or something that I set on and didn't realize I set, then this is the first instance in which we've seen a Pinball Arcade default version of a table not be the default factory settings as far as we can recognize. Let's play another game because that was the short one. Let's see, if I'm gonna have like ball control, what can I really do? Because it wants me to hit up that 15 times, and ball control won't let that happen.
Come on. Well, maybe.
So yeah, ball control pretty much is useless.
Let me out! It's dark in here!
I can raise the jackpot value with ball control and hit the bumpers. But that doesn't actually raise the amount of score you get, that just raises the jackpot value. And see there, that's an example of me being in a mode and then the mode kind of ending. I can't do anything.
5 million.
It's just getting worse, the ball control is. I mean, it's just downright useless at this point. You'd think hitting that ramp 3 times would cause something to happen.
Let me out! It's dark in here!
Shoot the right ramp.
Yep, try to do any fancy thing. You just fail miserably. I suppose in comparison I like Addams Family as a table better than this table. The Addams Family license, at least I've seen the Addams Family movie for the most part. I may have not actually sat through the entirety of the first movie, and I probably didn't sit through the entirety of any of the subsequent movies, whether there was 2 or 3. But I definitely have never seen The Creature from Black Lagoon, and I definitely don't think I could ever actually sit through that. It probably is like a 3-hour movie that's way too old. So I have more of a relevance there, but even ignoring the license and the theme here is muddled and confused, and it's not great. I would have preferred it just to be around a Porky's type theme where you were literally just a guy trying to get into the pants of the girl and taking her to a movie to accomplish that. Which that is a cheap date. Anyways.
Here's your plum juicy hot dog.
I got extra ball there, but I'm cheating, so that won't count. I can't get the ball. I can't get the ball to go up. Yeah, the table is just better designed, though. Adam's Family. It's less of just throwing in everything in the kitchen sink, and it's more of a few concepts that work better and are better tested. This definitely screams like a table that even if you curate it for a year, there would just be so much going on that there's just so much possibility for random chaos. Although, I think it is still kind of fair to point out that these 90s tables are still very much not as bad as some of the other tables. Let's see. All time, we've got people getting into the 40s and 30 billions, where my score puts me at 153 million. And then weekly, the week just started, but we're starting to see a decent number of people playing this table actually. Although I guess maybe the fact that my score is number 7 says something about this table. That's not particularly a great table. Anyways, see monthly. Monthly, I'm also 45th, and that's 4 days. So, yeah, it definitely feels like there isn't probably that much enthusiasm from Creature from the Black Lagoon. In a funny way, it definitely gets overshadowed by Adam's Family. It also kind of gets overshadowed by Phantom of the Opera. I also feel like it probably gets overshadowed by Elvira, which Elvira has a lot more going for it, for sure. It also kind of gets overshadowed by Haunted House and Gorgar, which, yeah, Gorgar is probably the best example of similar theme. You've got a monster in the movie. The Creature from the Black Lagoon is a monster, and he's carrying off a lady, and the guy has to save him. So they should have thought more towards that theme. This is a Williams table. I would have definitely tried to have been inspired by the table layout of this for Creature of the Black Lagoon, if that's what you wanted to focus on. If you don't want to focus on that and you just wanted to make a movie theater table, I think they should have then just been a generic Universal Monsters table. At a certain point, we kind of know that Universal just could never figure out what the right thing was to do with the Universal Monsters licenses and properties. I kind of had forgotten that Gorgar was a magnetic table too. It's such an early table. It doesn't even have like lane select. It's ridiculous that somebody didn't come back and make a modernization of this. This would be very easy to do. Just like add a kickback, add a ball saver, maybe just go a little bit crazier with some targets and things to hit. And nothing will replace the history and the simplicity of Gorgar, but yeah, that's a late 70s era table that nobody bothered to try and repeat. I don't think they ever did. Or if they did, it was a terrible table. Something's new here. What's going on? Maybe have I been just doing that this whole time? Why are there 9 tables all of a sudden here? The one that's named new is called Big Buck. Guess that might be brand new for this month. Maybe they are still adding new tables. Interesting. Well, there's not a lot to say about that table. Just poorly designed table. So we have whatever this table is. I don't know if that says Pinball Wizard or Castle Wizard or what. I think it says Wizard. To potentially impress us. Otherwise, it's going to boil down to maybe Black Rose or maybe Party Zone or Terminator 2. I think Party Zone arguably might be the best table of this group. And I just wanted to point out that the Universal Monsters, wow, look at these visual glitches. And it's not like I'm even leaving this game running. Like, I just opened it. Like, you have the Universal Monsters here being shown, and they're being shown as cartoony comic things, not spooky things. And then eventually that got converted to trying to make them spooky things, and that didn't really work. And then Class of 1812 also just shows, I didn't mean to actually start a game there. It shows what you can really pull off as far as characters that are like the Universal Monsters, but aren't quite the Universal Monsters. So you don't even really need the Universal Monsters. And this hand looks way more interesting than the Thing hand from Addams Family. I forgot about that. And I think this is more creepy and kooky of a table than the Addams Family. So I definitely think I'd rather play this than the Addams Family. Way more often. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.